You know, with all of the Team Trees videos out there, I decided that I should make my own contribution to the cause. So in this episode, I'll be counting just how many trees are in Breath of the Wild's world and donate the same amount to the site. We'd better start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 153, 154, 155, 2,490, 2,491, 2,492, 13,424, 13,425, and 13,426. A total of 13,426 trees. That means a donation of over $13,000. 297, 298, 299, and 300. There you have it, Breath of the Wild has 300 trees, which means... Hashtag Team Trees. I'm sure most of you already know of the massive campaign started by MrBeast and Mark Rober to plant 20 million trees by 2020. So far, the amount has surpassed 14 million trees planted, which is insane. Each US dollar goes to a single tree, so even the smallest donations mean a lot. I'll have a link to the site where you too can make a contribution. Even if you can't make a donation, you can still support the cause by spreading the word of this campaign to your friends and family. With that out of the way, it's time to continue today's video. Breath of the Wild is a very unique experience when you compare it to the other Zelda titles, and it mostly comes down to two reasons: its massive open world and freedom to play however you want. There is a story, however the player can choose to skip it and head straight to the final boss chamber. So you could imagine how ridiculous speedrunners look when confronting Ganon with nothing other than a few hearts and weapons. And since I'm in the hashtag Team Trees spirit, I figured we could take the next bit of time to look at one of Breath of the Wild's most iconic and powerful weapons. One that even surpasses the power of the Master Sword. And that weapon is... the Master Torch. Yoloro is truly the hero we don't deserve. But instead of talking about the most powerful weapon in the game, we'll talk about the second most powerful weapon. I'm, of course, referring to the tree branch. This can be obtained by cutting down trees, or if you want to get them in a more tree-friendly manner, you can find them on the ground all across the Great Plateau. It's amazing how Nintendo lets you get such a powerful item so early on in the game. It got me thinking, why not just use these against Ganon? Surely he wouldn't stand a chance. Okay, so maybe they aren't that good. What are the stats on this thing again? 2 attack and 4 durability. Wait, is this the worst weapon in the game? Well, this is kinda awkward. But this does bring up an interesting topic. How many tree branches would be required to kill Calamity Ganon? We first need to understand how melee weapons work in the game. There are 2 primary stats we need to know: the attack and durability. Attack is how many hit points the weapon will deal upon a single blow, while durability is the maximum amount of times you can hit something. In this case, a tree branch deals 2 damage per hit and will break after 4 blows. This is why trying to kill the final boss is impossible. It's not necessarily because of its low damage. Theoretically, you could sit there and wail on Ganon until he went down. It's because of how quickly the weapon breaks. You start with a maximum capacity of 8, but can upgrade to a total of 19 slots, the last one being reserved for the Master Sword. But even with 19 tree branches, it's only possible to put a dent in the final boss's health. But how much damage can a single branch do? You might just want to multiply the durability with attack, but that's an inaccurate way to find the answer. There's something called a critical hit, where the damage dealt essentially doubles. This occurs when you hit an enemy's head with an arrow, throw a weapon at them, or break a weapon while striking an enemy. In our case, the tree branch would land a critical hit on its 4th blow. The equation to find a weapon's total damage would look like this, variables A and D being attack and durability. We can simplify it to the following, which upon solving tells us that the most damage a tree branch can deal is 10 hit points. From what I found online, Calamity Ganon has a total of 8,000 HP. If you went into the boss fight with 19 branches, it would deal a measly 190 damage, only 2.4% of his overall health. But how many of these weapons would you need to kill him? Dividing his health by the damage each branch can deal gives us the answer, which is 800. You would need an additional 781 slots for this to be possible. But the good news is that there are other variables we can add to decrease the weapons needed. Let's assume that all 4 divine beasts have been reclaimed. This essentially halves his health to 4,000. The total amount of tree branches needed is now 400. But we're not finished yet. If the player cooks certain dishes or equips some armor, they can get some character buffs like speed, defense, and attack. The last one being the most important. Either equipping a full set of the barbarian gear or eating a mighty dish can give us a high level attack boost. But don't think about doing both at once. Unfortunately, these buffs can't stack with each other. Once we have this attack boost, the damage of the branch changes from 2 to 3. Plugging the new variable into our equation now gives a total of 15 damage. Dividing this by 4,000 gives us an answer of 266.7. We've gone from needing 400 branches to 267. While it may sound impossible to bring this down any further, there is another factor to consider. What modifications are on the weapon itself? If you're lucky, you might get an additional attack or durability up modifier when you pick up new gear. From my experience, this mostly happens with Hyrule Castle's weapons, as well as has a chance of being on weapons from chests and other monsters. This creates a bit of an issue though. I went all around the plateau picking up tree branches and never got any modifiers. The only other 2 options are from chests or enemies. As far as I know, there are no chests that have tree branches for obvious reasons. This means that the only way to get one with a modifier is from this one bokoblin at the start of the plateau. Luckily, the game will decide if this weapon has a modifier once you first pick it up. This means that we can abuse save states until we get a tree branch with either a durability or attack up buff. And after 5 or so minutes, I can confirm that it's possible to get. We have the choice of either getting a durability up or attack up, so which one will deal the most damage? Combined with the high level attack boost, a tree branch with attack up will do 6 damage per hit with a total of 4 uses. In comparison, one with durability up deals 3 damage per blow, breaking after the 5th hit. Plug these into our equation, and it's pretty obvious that a tree branch with attack up is the way to go, dealing 12 more damage compared to the other. 4,000 divided by 30 gives us 133.3, so it would require 134 of them to kill the final boss. Technically, there is another game-changing variable in this experiment. This weapon is made of wood, which means it can catch fire. Striking an enemy with a flaming weapon will deal 10 extra damage. If we stacked this with the previous buffs, the damage would go from 6 to 16 per hit, increasing the total damage from 30 to 80. This would require only 50 tree branches. Unfortunately, for this experiment, it's impossible. 1. The last hit before the flaming weapon breaks completely negates that additional 10 damage. And 2. Calamity Ganon isn't affected by fire. Hitting him with a flaming tree branch is no different from using a normal one. So, yeah, looks like the bare minimum needed is 134. Yes, you could use a shield to parry attacks and abuse Urbosa's Fury, but that would kind of ruin the point of a tree branch only run. But you know what enemy the almighty branch can kill? A Lionel. This is because weapons won't lose durability if you hit them when mounted. This does bring up an interesting question though. Is there a weapon that can just barely kill the final boss? One that would break upon the last hit? Unfortunately, I'm not too sure. The problem is that it would just take too much time to test. It's easy to find the weapon and test its total damage with character buffs, but coming across the right weapon modifiers proves to be a challenge. You have to abuse the save state function while also getting lucky. I did try this for around half an hour on a different weapon and couldn't find one with a single modifier. We can do the math to figure out how much damage this hypothetical weapon would have to deal. All we have to do is divide Calamity Ganon's HP by 19, since that's the max capacity of weapons we can hold. According to our calculations, each weapon must deal a total of at least 211 hit points, but a more accurate method of solving would be to adjust our original equation to the following. There are a couple things we can find with this new equation. If a weapon has a certain durability, inputting that value into the calculation will tell you how much damage the weapon would have to deal per hit. It also goes the other way. Knowing the damage of a weapon gives us an answer for the durability value. Let's take the tree branch for example. example. Our best case scenario had it dealing 6 hit points per use. If we solve for D, we get a value of 34.08. If it was possible to upgrade our inventory by 16 more slots, then you could kill Calamity Ganon with tree branches. But if we went with the durability up modifier instead, how much damage would the tree branch require? Just plug the 5 hits into the equation and it tells us that the damage would have to be 36. So unfortunately, the tree branch isn't as useful as we first thought. But hey, at least it can still kill a Lionel. Thank you for watching today's video. It was fun to do another math-based theory, and maybe we could talk more about this in a Breath of the Wild livestream. Though I might be too busy playing Pokemon Sword and Shield. I cannot wait for those games to release. Once again, a link to the tree donation page will be in the description below, and do consider supporting the campaign. Special thanks to all my patrons, you are all incredible. All the info on Twitter and Discord are down below, and I'll see you all next time. #TeamTrees!